Okay, folks, welcome back to the Tommy Gun channel. One of the things we're going to do to take off with this particular series, we're going to start on the Palmetto build. As you can see, I've already painted her up. I have a little more touch-ups to do on her, but she's painted up and ready to go. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to install the takedown, the pivot pin, excuse me, this puppy. Called the pivot pin. This is a stainless steel pivot pin, and I will be putting that in the front. Now normally, you know, you can do this anywhere along the line, but you can do this first thing on this gun. You can take the pivot pin in right off the bat because it's not going to interfere with anything, and it doesn't require any other pieces to install it. Whereas the takedown pin fits in here. And this part right here, takedown pin, this puppy here, that requires the handle to be installed because the detent pin for that is in this hole right. Let's see if you can see it. There it is. You can see the hole right there. I think, yeah, it is. That, where my finger is, there's the hole. That's where your pin goes for your detent pin and spring goes for the firing selector, which is a pretty big honking pin, detent pin. Whereas this pin is this little tiny thing. Gotta be careful. Little tiny pin. That one right there. I don't know if you can see that between my fingers. Let's see. There it is. Yeah, that little tiny thing right there. That's your detent pin for your takedown pin. Your pivot pin. Excuse me. I keep getting them mixed up. Pivot pin, front, takedown pin, rear, and firing selector. But your takedown pin, which goes in this hole right here. I showed you the firing selector. The takedown pin, this monster hole right there, that requires a spring and pin that goes through where your end plate is. Now if you can see that right there, but there's a hole right here, and that goes all the way through to your takedown pin with a little detent pin that holds that pin in place and keeps it from sliding out. Because these pins will fall out if you don't have these things in there. They'll just fall on the ground, you lose them, and there's your weapon taken apart. So that's one of some of the things people don't like about them. Anyway, let's get started. And we're going to use this Real Avid tool right here. This is from Real Avid Hardware. This is specifically made to install the front pivot pin. Now, if anybody's ever tried this without a tool of any kind, let me guarantee you, you learned some new curse words. And if you didn't know any curse words, you learned a new set, your first set of them. Because I'll guarantee you, you will be cussing that if you don't have one of these tools. Because if that spring shoots that little detent pin across the floor like a almost at the same speed as a bullet coming out of this gun, which is 2,000 feet per second plus. That's what it feels like, because you'll never see that pin again. You may keep the spring, but you'll never see that detent pin again if it shoots out of that hole that you're trying to put it in. So what you do is, the best thing to do is put this thing on some kind of vise, like I'm fixing to do here. And this sure makes it a lot easier to do this. When you've got a little tool like this, it allows you just put the thing on here, clamp it in place, and now we'll try to move it here into the camera. Oh, a little further this way. Let's move the camera over to it. How about that? Da-da-da-da-da. And let's unlock the elevation here. It's really tedious. That's one thing I need to change on this camera. It's the elevation control is not the smoothest on the planet. Anyway, I think you can see where the end, where it goes. Let me move it up here. There we go. It goes right here. Okay. So what goes in there, first thing, is this tiny, and I do mean you can see in the camera, tiny spring. That goes in this little hole right here, right in front of where the detent, the detent pin goes in there with it. Now what you do with this tool is, you set this tool up to where you go ahead and put your takedown pin in it. Set it in here like so. Get it ready. I'll put my little plunger in here that guides it in. And if you'll notice, there's a little hole right here on the end of it. That's very important. And there's a little hole right here. And that's where you're going to put the detent pin in. So you put that in there like that. You get your pin loaded in there. Get it turned. Because what you're going to do is you're going to turn this up like so. And your detent pin is going to be lined up. You'll see in a second. So what we're going to first do is we're going to put her in place like this. Take our little holder plunger here. Going to drop our detent pin down the hole. Boom. And this little plunger pushes the detent pin past that little rod like so. You rotate him up. Then you just take your pin and you takes a little second, pull your plunger up. Now your detent pin is locked in. You heard it click in? She's in. Pull the plunger out, pull this off, and there's your detent pin loaded in place and ready to go. There she is. There's your takedown pin, or your pivot pin, excuse me. There's your pivot pin installed. Along with this detent, the detent pin and spring. You see there I just pulled it out. And she's in there tight, boy, let me tell you. There you go. It goes in a lot smoother when the barrel's in there because you got something to guide it all the way across. But there she is installed. So that is installing the pivot pin with the Real Avid pivot pin installation tool, which I think is worth its weight in gold. Now there are other tools out there that may seem easier to use than this, but this is surefire, trouble-free, no fumbling around. You just got to follow the procedure. And what I do is I go through the procedure before I go to put them in. I go through it, you know, physically to see how it's going to go before I go try to put it on, and make sure I got it right. Because like I said, if that little pin shoots out of there, well, you just better have a whole bunch of them on hand, all I'm going to say, because you'll never see it again. And if you do, count yourself as what I would call a miracle, because you've definitely seen your first miracle if you find that pin. So, we're going to move on now to the rest of the gun. So we're going to cut it off here, and the next event will be the actual installation of the trigger and the other parts. I'm going to do my touch-up I have to do on it first, and then we'll come back and I'll start putting in the rest of the parts. See you then. Okay, folks, welcome back. In the last episode of this same video, I put in the pivot pin right here for the the next lower we're going to finish right here. On this video, we're going to finish this entire bit. What I have here in front of me is everything that's needed to put inside a lower. This is it. This is all you need. That's every piece that you need to put in the Palmetto Lower. I have already put in also the magazine release, and I'm going to take that out and show y'all how that goes in and out of here. I'm going to put in a custom mag release, which is from Armaspec. It's the Armaspec B2, I think. Let me see if I can get this on the camera right there. We go. You can see it's an extended release. It's got 2 screws here. It comes with an Allen wrench. I've already put the button in that it bolts to, and that's what I'm going to take out here and show you. Armaspec. Also, we're going to be putting in the Armaspec anti-walk pins. These here. And to assist this, I also have, as you can see right here, I don't know if you can see them, they're kind of bright. Cameras on them. These 2 little guide pins right here. These are guides, like little spear points that screw into the anti-walk pins, allow you to stick them through. I saved these from another trigger installation. I said, oh, those are cool, I gotta save those. So if you ever get a set of these and you're doing drop-in triggers, save those little points. They are invaluable to help you put that trigger through. I mean, it really goes a lot more smoothly. This is the drop-in trigger. This is a DTS drop-in trigger from Davidson Defense Tactical. This is one of their custom triggers, skeletonized, as you can see. 3-pound trigger pull. Now, you may say, oh, that don't sound like a really light trigger, but it really is. When you pull that trigger, as I keep saying over and over, if you like shooting Remington 700 and you like that trigger pull, you're going to love these drop-in triggers for the AR-15. This is a whole different world, the drop-in trigger, from what you have to do in the other world, and here they are. This is everything you need to put in the trigger in an AR-15. All these parts, all that stuff has to go in there, along with, of course, the pins. But it's 3 pieces plus 2 springs instead of this whole one drop-in trigger. So that makes it a whole lot easier. This is your sear, obviously. Makes it a whole lot easier. And I have a whole supply of triggers and hammers and sears, because I will not use them ever again. From now on, it's all drop-in triggers for me. I learned my lesson. It's worth the money. Some of them can go up over $300. They're worth every penny in my book. If they're a $300 trigger, you can bet your butt they're worth that $300. They put the work into it to make it worth $300. You know, now you can find some cheaper triggers out there, like DTS here. This is a reasonable trigger. I think that's about right at $200 for that one though, because it's skeletonized, special. Also, this is a quick reset trigger. This trigger resets like so fast. It's unbelievably fast reset. This was especially made for tactical combat shooting. That's why it's going in this particular gun. This particular gun is going to be a, well, not quite a CQB gun, but pretty damn close to it. The upper has already been finished. I bought the upper complete for it. And this is the upper. Zoom it back out there a little bit. Here's your upper. Davidson Defense Tactical. I added this foregrip onto it. It's an ergo foregrip, I think. Maybe not. No, it's not. But it's a really nice foregrip. Everything I do is all made in America. This is a Timber Creek floating barrel shroud. This is a complete floating barrel in here. Floating barrel kit. It has a nitride bolt in it. This thing is hard. Oops, I got to keep remembering where the camera is. It's got a nitride bolt in it. The wholly ambidextrous charging handle, which I put on every rifle. Every gun I build now has the wholly ambidextrous charging handle. They are the best. I have not found anything that beats them yet. I mean, there's no mistakes. Grab it from either side. She's coming back all the way. She is not going to be no half-ass crap, no missing it, no none of that. It's rugged. But this is going to be your basic AR-15. It does have the standard AR-15 plastic suppressor on it. This is an M4 barrel. I forget who makes the barrel. I'll have that in the description. All the parts will be in the description, exactly what they are, who they came from, etc., etc. But that's the upper for that barrel for this new gun. It's coming up right now. So I said what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and put this gun together. Let's get some libation here going. Very thirsty work. This gun will also have the ergo grip on it. Combat grip on it. Very, very cool grip on this one. Very cool. And it'll also have the Hogue collapsible buttstock. And lights are really reflective, aren't they? This is your Hogue collapsible buttstock. Very nice. Very smooth. Very quiet. Very quiet buttstock. Cool as hell. From our reliable people at Hogue. And everybody knows about ergo, I hope. If you don't, you've been missing out. Don't settle for those old plastic handles anymore. Get yourself an ergo, something that you can put your hands around. Any one of the ergo handles, you know, are just awesome. That's all I can say. The other handle that I do like to use is the Luth AR, Luth-AR handle. But it's a bigger, beefier handle. It's on the other gun. It'll be on the Nutcracker that I built, which is also be a video on that. But let's get back down to the gun here. Here, like I said, it's every piece we're going to need to do this thing. Here's your buffer spring, your buffer tube, rear takedown pin, your buffer spring and retainer. Here's your retainer and spring for your firing selector. This is actually, yes, that's the one. Right, actually that's the wrong one. That's for your this spring here is for your firing selector. This spring here is for your takedown pin detent. This spring and pin right here. These three go together right there. Those three. Let's zoom it in a little more. Oops. Get her down in here a little more. There we go. Okay, as I said, these three pieces go together. Takedown pin and this detent and spring. Here is your firing selector, detent and spring. This spring here is the spring. See, do I have too many out here now? Oh, I guess I do. But anyway, this is a spare detent spring. But these are the springs, all the springs you're going to need. This spring and this little bumper right here, I forget what they call this, but this goes up against your bolt catch release. This piece right here, that's your bolt catch and release. And here is the pin, your roll pin that holds in the bolt catch release. Right there, that little pin right there. As I said before, here's your Armaspec extended magazine release. That will be going on, and it's already halfway installed. Okay. And I said before, we installed already the pivot pin right here with this tool from Vivid, Avid AR, Avid Tools, AVID. They build all kinds of tools. I'll be using their bench block here on the lower to drive in this pin because it has a special position. So you can set that in like this and drive that pin in right here. And that's a tricky process, let me tell you, and we'll go through that. But anyway, to put in your magazine catch spring thing here, right here, this button, you have to push it in as far as it'll go, and it threads into this button here, this little button. It's a threaded rod that goes into that button. Now on your normal AR-15, you've got just a button here with serrations on it, you know, that goes in here. But you can see how tiny that button really is. So to make it bigger, I got this extended thing. They're really cool. I like them. I don't know how many people have used them, but if you're going to do a quick change magazine, brother, that's a, you got to have, you can reach up there and grab that button really quick. You know, you don't have to reach around to find it. It's like there, boom. Anyway, what I'm going to do is I'm going to back that out, and what I do to do this on this one here, you have to really push it in a long way, and then you just back this off. Unscrew it like so. Once you get it going enough, you can hold it out with your finger. I'm going to push it in with my thumb here. Hold it in. Just can barely make it. There we go. Whoops. Come on. Well, I guess I didn't get it out far enough. Hold on. Let me move these off to the side here. I got not enough room here. All right. So anyway, you're going to push it like that and unscrew it like so. It screws out like this. See me screwing it out like that right there. This direction unscrews it. Counterclockwise it unscrews, clockwise, righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. Just like any other little bolt. But there it is. That's your whole thing. You have a called a magazine catch spring. I have yet to find a spring kit where that comes in it. Write this down. If you're putting down an AR-15 and you buy a spring kit, you better make sure this spring comes in it before when you order it, because if it doesn't, you're going to have to order that spring. I ordered these springs from Palmetto State Armory. They would only give me 4 of them. Do y'all hear me, people? 4 of them. I wanted 10. They would only give me 4. That tells you what's going on in the parts business right now with guns. That spring is important. You've got to have it. This is the button right here. Ta-da! That's the button right there where I'm going to screw the magazine catch lever into this. It's going to go right in that hole that everybody knows where that is. So what you do is you put your spring in there, like so. Get it down in this little, it's got a little hole it fits in. You can find it real quick. You put this in here like this, press it in. And on this particular button it doesn't matter because it screws in either way. It does not matter. Put it in. You got to hold that spring down, and it's kind of tough at first to find it. But it's righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. You'll feel it grab, like so. See, it's grabbing right now. It's going down. Now you can only push it so far like that, and then see the button's still sticking out too far. It really is. Look at here. Like it should get the right angle on it. Yeah, see that button sticking out way too far right there. You can see that. So what I do is I take a pair of my little needle nose, and I'll push it on down in there in one of these screw holes. It will not damage it. And I will righty-tighty, lefty-loosey the rest of the way. till that end of that thing is right up flush with your release button. And it will, you can push it down in there far enough to where it will make it. Doesn't seem like it does for it, but it does do it. And there it is right there, right on the money. Now, there you go. There's your magazine catch release button right there. And to test it, before you get too far, you just take a magazine, stick it in there, and press the button to see if it releases. And it does. So do that again. Right there, just like that. You want to test it, press the button, she release. That's a 20 round magazine. You don't see many of those around there more. my quick response magazine, I call it. Anyway, so there is your magazine catch installed. Hearing magazine catch release. Now, the next thing I'm going to do is we're going to go ahead and install the rest of this Armaspec piece, but to do that, before we do that, and so it won't be in the way, we're going to go ahead and put that fancy trigger you see laying there in here in the device. And so we're going to have to open up our bag of Armaspec anti-walk pins, stainless steel, Armaspec anti-walk pins. You're going to put in a drop-in trigger. You must do this. Do not let anybody tell you otherwise. You must do this. There are people that will tell you, oh, you don't need the anti-walk pins. Well, you go ahead and do it your way. Do it that way and see what happens. And that pin walks out on you when you're rapid firing that thing or something like that and hits the ground and you lost it and now your trigger don't work. You can say I told you so. I would put anti-walk pins even on the regular AR-15. Get rid of those regular push-out pins and put anti-walk pins in them. I would do that on any AR-15. I would have anti-walk pins in. I don't care whether it's the drop-in trigger or the regular trigger. I recommend spending the extra money and the time, put the anti-walk pins. And even if you don't use them on a drop-in trigger, everybody will think you'll have one. You know, you'll look cool. So anyhow, I think one of the first things we're going to have to do, though, before we do that, if I remember, let me see if we can do this without it. Sometimes I can put them in without putting in the firing selector. Where is it? Where is my firing selector? Sometimes you can, sometimes you can't. Where'd my firing selector go? Uh-oh. Oops. Stop. Interference. Okay, we're back. Had to have a little interruption there. As I said before, what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and insert the trigger. And as I showed you before, you have these little points that stick on the end of the anti-walk pins so they smoothly go in when you set the trigger in. And this is the beauty of the one-piece drop-in trigger. Slides right on in place. Hold it in place. Take your little stabber pins, and this lines it up so good. And you see it just come out right there. See it? Sticking out right there. There it is. And those just pop right in. Normally you'd have to go in and fight that pin through there. I'm going from the other way this way, just for the general principles. like we may have to get out the old rubber hammer maybe. There we go. Good old hand pressure works. Now these things all have a little clip in them that would grab a normal roll pin. Some of them have a little clip in them, some of them don't. Like this one does. I can peel it. There you go. Just popped it over the clip. There's a little piece sticking out. And the cool part about this is you just unscrew that. Now that you've got it seated, there's 2 screws on each end of these anti-walk pins. And it comes with a matching pair of little Allen wrenches that allows you to tighten these up, because these pins rotate freely. Once you tighten these screws up, the pins still rotate, but they won't walk out because these screws hold them in place. Sometimes helps if you just put the screw on in the Allen wrench. Okay, what's going on here? Why is that being obstinate? Trying to cross thread on me for some reason here. Let's see if this other one will go better. Yeah, that one's going. For some reason that other one tried to cross thread. Take your wrenches and stick them on opposite sides. Let's make sure we can stick our safety switch in there still. Yep. Still goes in. We marked our safe and fire switch here. Whoops. Put a little marker on it and a marker on the other side here too. So that goes in. It's good to know. Take our wrenches. Oh, I see we hadn't gone in all the way. That's why I was having trouble. There we go. Yeah, these pins stick out just barely beyond the body. So they still will kind of rotate, but it'll be tight. It might still rotate a little bit. Take our tip off with the here this side. Put our screw on the Allen wrench. There she goes. All right. Something's wrong here. For some reason that screw is trying to cross thread, and I don't understand why. It came out just fine. But now it seems to be cross-threading. So let's stick this on the handy dandy vise here. A quickie vise. And let's work on it that way. Yeah, something's going on here, something silly. We may have to get out of something and straighten that out. Alright, what's going on here? Okay, let's stop. Okay, that anti-walk pin somehow got boogered up, just so happens I have no set. So I'm going to have to tap that out, but somehow this threads inside of it got messed up. I don't know how it happened, but it did. But it just so happens I have another set. So I'm just going to take one of those out real quick like and replace it. For now, it comes off another rifle I'm going to build. But I can get these pretty quickly. So what we're going to do is we're going to set her back up. Put our little stabber back on. Make sure we don't cross thread. These things are very picky about threading here. They're 440 screw threads, by the way. If you have one of these tools right here, I straightened out the threads on it with one of these. You can use one of these to straighten out threads. Oh, you know, they're usually using cut screws, but you can also straighten out threads on them too. It'll act as a small dock or small screws. And you have 440 all the way up to 832. So 1024, 1032. So any screw those size, you can recut the threads on these things. Pretty handy tool to have. Don't have one, get one. There we go. Snap it past the clip. There's a clip, like I said, in each one of these with a normal pins fit in them. Yeah. Oh, great. There we go. That one went right in there like it should. Dropped my other wrench. That's what it was. Ugh. Happens all the time. Where'd you go? Well, just fortunately I have another one here. Keep plenty of them. Got to keep plenty of these little Allen wrenches around. As I said, these are little 440 Allen head screws. Not metric, believe it or not. There you go. You lock them down. And as you can see, just as I said before, the pins, even though they're locked down tight, they still rotate freely. See that right there? That's what they should do. They should still rotate but be locked down. So let's put these off to the side so we can get this Rest of this project rolling here. Definitely have to take those things, put a tap on it, and re-tap that. Somehow them screws got burred up. Okay, come on. All right, let's get that in there. All right, let's get back to the project. We've got our trigger in now. There we go. Very light trigger. Safe position works. Pull the trigger, nothing happens. This trigger has a little bit of creep in it, but it's adjustable. And what I like to do is I like to put it on safe, pull it out, and then I can pull it up to where that little bit of creep is taken out. Or you can just learn how to pull it up on safe, take it off safe, and once the creep is already pulled up, you're now ready to fire. There is no creep. We'll adjust that later. But that is adjustable. Very delicate, but it is adjustable. Okay. I think what we're going to do now is we're going to go ahead and put in our handle and our detent pin for our safety. We can go ahead and put those on now because our safety switch is already installed. So we'll undo this and we'll flip this over. And you can see with the light, maybe. Turn our green light on, you can see that hole right here. There's a hole. That hole is where the pin goes for your switch, your safety switch. It's this big old fat thing right here. It's a fat detent pin. That drops in there like that. And there's a special spring that's a little bit shorter than the other springs, a little bit fatter. And you can see it right here. Here's your springs to hold in your detent pin. Hold in your detent pins. Here's the one. There you can see that they're just a little bit bigger, but just enough to make a difference. There's our handle up here. We'll get our handle out. As I said, this is the ergo handle. And there's something about these handles. Not all these ergo handles are like this. This one particularly has it. We'll have to get out our little wrench and tool to stick this on with. Should have opened this up already. I hate these Ziploc bags because they do not want to open. They should stagger the lips on them, but they put them right up together the same size as each other, and you can't get them apart. That doesn't make sense. They do that. Anyway, it has this little piece here. It's a little filler piece that goes on after you put the handle up. It goes in this section down in here. It's a little filler. And you'll see how that works here in a minute. Some guns need it, some of them don't. Don't know if this one's going to need it. As I said before, we put the extended trigger guard on this gun. go ahead and get our tool here. This big old monster. Always find your tools before you get ready to start. Okay, get our driver tool out here. I think this will fit in there. Yep, there she goes. Have to put another extender on it. Okay, now this screw, you put this spring in here like so, and you can see it just barely fits in there. Put the handle in that hole. Like so. Get the old screw. Oops. The old screw started in there. And we dropped our screwdriver on the floor. Probably gonna make the lady downstairs have a heart attack again. Okay. So, we've got our handle in place. Put the Milwaukee screwdriver on. Whoops. Looks like she ain't got no power. Oh, battery dead. Okay. So we're going to have to do this the hard way. The battery's dead on the screw gun. Another reason to keep your tools ready to go when you get ready to do something. Always charge your tool before you're ready to go do something. So, we'll just do it manually. Still works that way as a screwdriver even though the battery's not in. How about that? That's the beauty of this gun. You can still use it as a regular screwdriver even though the battery's dead. Alright. That's a good torque on it. Plenty enough. Trust me. Now we check our firing switch here now. Make sure we got it right. There she goes. Put some CLR oil on it. This is called Premium CLP. It's distributed by Delta Team Tactical, one of my suppliers. Like the main supplier for most of the stuff I buy. They make their own CLP. And anybody from the military knows about CLP. Pretty good stuff. But their CLP is especially good. We're going to put a drop here on each one of our places where we have a rocker. And where we're making contact here with our switch. Just a drop. Oh yeah. A little stiff right now, but she'll get in there. She'll work in over time. Trigger pull is crisp. So there is your basic lower already most of the way put together, and all I did was put in the trigger and the fire selector. So the next thing I think we'll go ahead and do is we're going to go ahead and the next video we're going to put in the bolt catch release, and since that's for tomorrow, because I want to put that in before I put the put in the buffer tube and the rest of the buffer tube, because once I get the buffer tube on, she's done. And you know, because that's the detent pin, the rear takedown pin, and the buffer tube go on together. You have to do those two together because of the spring. And I'll also be adding a custom end plate, dual loop end plate, so you can have a 3-point sling slate on either side, left or right. I put this on every one of my guns too. Every one of my guns will come with these. So let's go ahead and put on the rest of the magazine catch release. Move the vise out of the way. Take a little of our CLP and stick it down in there on the edge. Won't hurt a thing. Anywhere where you got moving surfaces, a little CLP will do you. Oh, that handle really feels great. I mean, that is a manly handle. I don't want to insult any ladies out there, but that is definitely a handle that you get your hand around comfortably instead of that. And it has a little bit of a soft feel to it. Not as much as some of the ergo handles. Some of the other ergo handles are a little softer than this. But this one is really nice and firm, and it still has a softness to it. Not like that hard, not like the hard plastic of this thing. This is so, I mean, it's a practical handle. Don't get me wrong, it works. It's just, you know, it's a stand back anything. But you see what look at my hand on this. Look at my hand on the bottom. Look at my thumb coming around the bottom, my finger coming around the bottom. Now watch this. Look at this. My whole hand fits around it. See that? Fits your whole hand. Just like a regular pistol. If you were handling a big handgun. These little things, look at this. That's not comfortable. It's like, yuck. No. Go ergo. The only way to go is ergo. So, we're going to go ahead and put on the rest of the quick release here. There it is right there. Armor spec. Great stuff, great people. Like I said, this is something I got from Delta Team Tactical. This is one of the parts I got from Delta Team Tactical, I think. Many people handle this particular one, not only Delta Team Tactical. Or you can go to the Armor Spec site yourself. So anyway, this really cool thing sticks over here. And you have two little, let's zoom in on it. And you have two little Allen head screws. Go in there. Comes with the Allen wrench. Every kit comes with its own wrenches. Get her starter in there. It's a little snug bit. So be careful when you go to put them in if you're doing this. Make sure you get your screw threads lined up in there properly. Don't end up like I just did with the pin here with them going in crookified. That's a new word, crookified. Spin it on down. so. That's about tight enough. So there, now you have the big fat handle. Let's zoom it back out now. Big fat handle, big fat trigger release, magazine release. Test it again. There she is. Magazine in it. Press the button. Do it again. Press the button, falls out. Muy bueno. So there, we have the extended Arma-Spec magazine, the B2 in there. There's another one they make that's actually a skeleton head. I had that on another gun I made that actually has a skeleton head on it. That's on the Calico Jack. I have a Calico Jack Lower. I call it the Buccaneer. I have 3 guns now. I have the Buccaneer. I have the Nutcracker. And now this is going to be my PSA stealth gun. I have 2 PSA Lowers and 1 lower from Spikes Tactical. Spikes Tactical, and I have another Spikes Tactical coming, which is the rare breed, which is kind of the same gun that Trump Jr. has, but mine is all going to be anodized gold, or Cerakoted gold actually. The upper and lower will be Cerakoted, the barrels are anodized gold. So anyway, it'll be all gold. So anyway, there is your magazine catch release. It's late at night, so I'm not going to attempt to pound the pin in tonight for this, but in the morning we'll get back on this and we'll finish this gun and we'll put the pin in. But so far, as you can see, we have for all practical purposes almost finished lower. I could use this as a pistol right now. I could put the barrel on it. In fact, the barrel's sitting right here. Put it on. Give you an idea how this looks. There we go, make a mess. Let's put this in here like so. Get it lined up. Okay. For all practical purposes, there's an almost ready to go gun. Right there. See? All I have to do is put the takedown pin in, and there she is. But that's a complete upper up there ready to shoot. Ready to fire. Put the buffer on it, everything else, and she's ready to go. But there's a preliminary setup right there. Ta-da! Front handle on it. Front grip. Cool as shit. Beauty of the AR. So, I think we'll call it a night for now. And in the morning we will put in the next thing we're going to put in is the magazine catch release. And we'll have that done. And like I said, we'll put on the buffer spring and the end plate and the rear takedown pin detent spring and rear takedown pin itself. And the gun will be complete. She'll be ready to go. So, see you in the morning.
Like, comment, subscribe, and hit the notification bell, or Antifa and BLM will come to visit you. Promise.